If you click off this video, you're trolling. Not only do we have a list of 10 champions that will give you free low in 13.8, but we also have a link to one of the best applications I've ever seen, mate, as a challenger coach. Like with these applications, I normally tell students to uninstall them, honestly, but the OPGG app, easily the best one I've seen, and I actually think it's useful for anyone playing this game in any single elo. Because when you get in Champs League, you can have the app choose the runes for you. When you get in game as well, the items that you choose, that is also based off the most popular items built on those champions in higher levels of play, and it's so easy to install and set up. All you have to do is log in and connect your league account. It's so easy and so quick, and you will have this for eternity. One of the things I really love as well that's kind of unique is that they have this OP champions page that updates every single hour. So you can just go onto this and you can see that in every single elo, there are different OP champions because those elos change, of course, right? So if you're diamond or above, you can look at what's OP in diamond and above. If you're platinum, you can have a look at what wins the most in platinum. Same with gold, silver, bronze, etc. I just think it's such a useful tool, and if you guys don't install this, like, you are legit missing out because thousands of people are. So all you have to do is click on one of those links in the description and comment section, and you will know why the Jizz absolutely frosts about this. Like, I think this app is just so good, and it is 100% going to help you win games. So if you want to get an edge on your competition, this is the application you need to download right now. Super easy, super quick, and super free low. Now, starting off the countdown, coming in at number 10, a champion you'll see a lot on that OPGG app is Xayah, who is banned in still close to 20% of games, picked on over 15%, and still has over a 50% win rate in platinum and above. And this is where these stats are pulled from, guys, platinum and above, for this patch. So most players are still having a lot of success on this champion. Even though Xayah did cop a couple of nerfs a few patches ago to her E, right, in terms of the damage and the cooldown, it doesn't really matter too much because Xayah, you're really picking her to counter all the engage the enemy team is picking. Now you can actually see as far as counter picks go, champions who don't really like hard engage onto Xayah, so who keep her at range, actually really good against her. So champions like Cogmore with his W, Ashe is really good because you can keep her at range, Jinx exactly the same, right? We see Jinx picked a lot against Xayah in pro play. Anything that actually dives onto her is probably going to be bad. That's why champions like Samira, for example, as far as the AD carries go, it's really not good to pick her into this feathered chick. But if we take it a step further and think about the rest of the Rift, we have champions like Nautilus, Blitzcrank being picked a lot, Leona got buffed in this patch, right? Alice is getting picked a little bit more. There is lots of engage, and that goes for every single role in the game. J4 is still pretty good, Kha'Zix is on the up, so Xayah is just an amazing AD carry at the moment as far as the meta goes, and she's strong enough to be in the top 10 champions. Now coming in at number 9 is one of those champions I actually just mentioned. So if you want to play an assassin in the jungle, and you're a fan of cockroaches, I mean who isn't, then Kha'Zix is one of the best junglers to pick and one of the most popular, picked in over 12.5% of games, in close to 63,000 matches so far this patch. In the last few days, Kha'Zix players have close to a 52% win rate. The extra damage you get from your Q, and I did kind of call this actually, Kha'Zix was going to be broken, so well done to the Jizz. But yeah, with the extra damage from your Q, which is even more when they're isolated, this has been massive for Bug Splat. This means that in the early game, you're going to get more kills, and especially by the time you hit level 6 with like your serrated Dirk, you can snowball game. And if you know how to manipulate fog, you know jungle timings, and you can hit the enemy jungler on their camps, as the stronger champion when you get going in the early game, you can snowball better than anything now. So Kha'Zix, I think he's in a great position because of the buffs, and he is number 9 in the countdown because of the stats and how well he's performing. Now coming in at number 8, a champion who has the highest win rate, guys, out of these 10 champions we're about to mention. He is a mid laner or top laner, but the stats here are from mid lane Akshan. So if you need a bit of attack damage in the mid lane with insane priority because of his passive, his 2 auto attacks, and his Q, which can hit all 6 minions if you time it properly, and it's good to pressure the enemy mid lane champion with, Akshan is the champion for you. You have so much pressure on this guy, and because you have a variety of builds, you can go like Kraken Slayer, Wit's End, there are probably builds out there with Shield Bow, maybe BT to maximize like survivability against dive compositions, and because the meta again is very close range based, Akshan loves it. This means you can actually get off your passive. This means you can auto attack multiple times, because if you're against lots of range, that's where the game gets tricky. That's why you can see as far as counter picks go, ranged champions. We have Xerath, we have Taliyah, we have Lux, who can keep Akshan at arm's length. Also champions who like champions who jump onto them. So for instance, Pantheon, who can interrupt Akshan's heroic swing. Exactly the same for Vex, and Swain is also really good because you can never really get close to him. But still, Akshan is performing at an extremely high level with over a 54% win rate in over 16,000 games thus far in 13.8. Coming in at at number 7, guys, is the second best AD carry according to these stats, and this is a guy who's banned in close to 20% of games. He's one of the most banned AD carries and champions on the Rift, this being Draven. So in over 30,000 matches, the Swinging Axe of Noxus has close to a 51% win rate. Because of those changes to crit not so long ago, by going Essence Reaver into Infinity Edge, you deal the most damage in the early mid game out of any champion in the game, I swear. Like, you will one-shot people if they get caught out. It's very obnoxious to play against, and because of the meta at the moment, it's more about engaged champions. Draven loves this. This means you can get off more auto attacks with your Qs right, and you can land both parts of your ultimate. There is such a high chance of you catching in those adoration stacks in the early game these days because of how volatile lanes are at the moment with those engaged supports. So Draven as an AD carry is probably the strongest lane bully in the game right now. So if you want to stomp the game and end it very quickly, you have to pick Draven and put him in your champion pool. Now, champion who I actually called, well, I didn't really think the nerfs were going to do too much to him, because yes, your scaling might be affected in terms of, your HP going down and your armor going down later into a game, but the problem is this, is that even if you are squishier, just the fact that champions have a really hard time of actually sticking to you and being on you, because Aurelion Sol in the mid to late game is still close to untouchable in the majority of elos, because for Aurelion Sol, you're probably going to lose the game in the early game if you are going to lose the game. That's why I kind of wanted the balance team to like nerf his early game even more, so he's more vulnerable, right? Because I think people can just blind pick this champion in most elos again and just get away with it. There are lots of counters to this champion, champions who can dive onto him and get in his face. You can see the counter picks. Tristana jumping onto his head. Same with Fizz, Akshan, Talon. These champions can put the pressure on him in the first, let's just say like 11 levels, and be like so far ahead that he will be irrelevant unless the game goes like 30 minutes. That's what I thought they were going to do, but these nerfs this patch haven't really changed too much. Yes, he might die a couple more times, but that's it. Your actual power spikes you're still holding on to, and that's why Aurelion Sol, a 20% ban rate still, and he's still an S+ tier champion with over a 50% win rate in over 27,000 matches. Now, starting off the top 5, the second best support, according to the countdown. This is Riot's recent inclusion to the game, this being Milio. Now, even though Milio copped a couple of hotfix nerfs a couple of patches ago when he got released, hasn't really changed that much. But despite those nerfs, even if we just look at the stats in over 62,000 matches, to have close to a 51.5% win rate, being picked in 12.5% of games, and banned in close to 17%, that just says it all. We don't even need to postulate about how the bot lane is going at the moment or the meta. If a champion has these stats, they are just objectively broken. That's why Milio is number 5. Now, a bit like Aurelion Sol, one champion who kind of got some placebo nerfs, but honestly, these nerfs were actual nerfs. So for J4 players, you are still somehow number 4 on this countdown, but I think this is more to do with the fact this is really in platinum and above. So his win rate has actually dropped, right, because of the nerfs, especially your Q's base damage going down. This is important for you, but he's still boasting a 51.5% win rate over that actually, and to be picked as much as he is in over 10% of games and banned in over 21%, that is actually the third highest ban rate in this list. Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to get nerfed again. I think this champion is still overperforming to be picked this much, to be as popular as he is, and to still be as strong. I still think the Descendant is going to cop it once more. But yeah, keep picking him if he's open. Now, number 3, the best support on the Rift right now. This is a champion who, well, if you land one of your abilities, you can just win lanes from it and games as well in the mid to late game. This, of course, is the Crank Blitzcrank. So if you're running Glacial Augment, pair this with your Rocket Grab, and when you get to level 6, the amazing base damage in your ultimate, which they buffed towards the end of last season, you're going to make champions go boom and players go boom as well. They will start tilting from this. Blitzcrank as well, guys, counters so many champions in the game right now. Even if we think of those AD carries, right, there are some immobile AD carries. Champions like Jinx, like Draven, even Xayah, before level 6, is susceptible to a bit of Blitzcrank action, and he does so well against so many supports as well. The supports you kind of need to be a little bit careful about are those supports who wouldn't mind getting hooked. So champions like Taric, we have Braum, we have Leona, right, Rel, but against the mobile bot lanes, especially those ranged champions, you destroy them, and because they're still pretty popular, Blitzcrank is still going to pop off for the rest of 13.8. Now, coming in at number 2, the best AD carry guys in the game right now, I honestly can't believe she didn't get nerfed. This, of course, is Jinx, by far the most popular champion in the game, picked in over 154,000 matches. That is 31% of games. That is cracked. Like, that's the highest I've seen for really ages, to be honest. And she's banned in over 16%. I really can't believe they're not nerfing her, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they hotfix nerfed her, because it's, well, it's not breaking the game, but yeah, hopefully you catch my drift here, right? Like, this is just way too OP. With over a 51% win rate, she's classified as an S+ tier champion because of that and how much she's picked. So Jinx is number 2. The buffs recently, especially to her attack speed, have just made her really busted. So she's number 2. Now, number 1, a champion who got changed in 13.8 is number 1. Now, this champion, if I just read out the stats for you, you. Let's see if you can guess who it is, right? So he's picked in over 47,500 matches. That's over a 9.5% pick rate. But he's banned, I notice how I'm saying he here because I'm pretty sure it is, he's banned in over 33% of games. Now he still has close to a 51% win rate. He resides in the top lane and he did get nerfed in 13.8. This guy's of course is rock solid Malphite, and I thought these nerfs weren't really going to do too much because you can kind of bypass them just by maxing your Q anyway, and even going something like Comet, even if you're still growing grass for a W max, it's really not that bad still, into those close range champions who you will auto attack a lot. And yeah, Malphite is just still innately broken. I actually mentioned in one of our videos, like the nerfs and buffs kind of like Riot are giving these champions in recent times anyway, they're not really that severe. They're actually quite nuanced and small, so these champions in terms of win rate, they're not going to change too much. As we've seen with Aurelion Sol, J4, Malphite is just another one. So Malphite, guys, according to the win rates and the stats, he is the #1 champion still in the game. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised once again if there is some sort of hold fix to Malphite, Jinx, and J4, these three in particular. So that was the countdown, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Again, remember to download that OPGG app in the description and comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future Season 13 content. This has been the Jizz. Bye!